Martin Luther King is widely seen as a hero for civil rights and a moral role model all throughout the world, especially in America, with countless monuments, memorials, and streets in his honor. But we seem to forget his moral inconsistencies, staunch Zionism, and sexual crimes. Was he who he claimed to be, or have modern Americans been deceived? Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister, theologian, and the most prominent leader of the American civil rights movement until his assassination on April 4, 1968. Raised in a family of preachers and inspired by Christian teachings and Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, King rose to national prominence as the spokesman for the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. He co-founded and led the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or the SCLC, organizing peaceful protest, including the Birmingham Campaign, the 1963 March on Washington, and voter registration drives that helped secure landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. At age 35, he became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 for his nonviolent resistance against racial injustice. In his final years, King expanded on advocacy to economic inequality in opposition to the Vietnam War, supporting striking sanitation workers in Memphis at the time of his death by gunshot, leaving a legacy as a global symbol of equality, justice, and moral courage, whose work profoundly advanced civil rights for African Americans and influenced movements worldwide. While preaching the Word of God by day, he seemed to live a different life by night. After the release of several FBI memos, there is strong evidence that MLK, although married, fathered a child with another woman, was sexually involved with many others, including orgies, and on at least one occurrence, was complicit in a rape. It's hard enough to excuse infidelity and participation in orgies from a preacher, but all that is tame when considering he witnessed a rape between a minister and a member of his parish. FBI documents show MLK and other SCLC officials discussed with a Baptist minister which parishioners would be suitable for unnatural sex acts. When one of the women protested that she did not approve, the minister forcibly raped her. Other documents show that MLK not only witnessed this, but laughed and encouraged the abuser to continue. Another instance described is one of many orgies MLK and members of the SCLC participated in, with alcohol and vile language being the backdrop of degeneracy and depravity, MLK boasting he was the drunkest. Perhaps the most damning case showing MLK was a fraud is the fact he didn't even write the speech he is most famous for. Martin Luther King was a fervent Zionist, evidenced by his praise of Israel as an outpost of democracy, insisting it is a legitimate state and deserves strong borders, revealing a troubling blind spot in his claimed commitment to justice and equality. While King championed nonviolence and the rights of the oppressed in America, his endorsement of Zionism overlooked the violent displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians during the 1948 Nakba, which many view as ethnic cleansing to establish a Jewish state. This selective advocacy suggests that King may have been acting in self-interest with loyalty to his race and anyone willing to bankroll him, which more often than not were Jewish individuals and organizations, like Stanley Levinson, Harry Wachtel, the American Defamation League, the American Jewish Council, and many others. This influenced him to prioritize Israel's narrative over the indigenous Palestinian struggle for self-determination, perpetuating a colonial framework that he might have condemned if he had moral consistency beyond his own movement. King went so far as to claim anti-Zionism is inherently anti-Semitism, which helped stifle legitimate critique of Israel's policies. By aligning with Zionists during a time when Israel was expanding through military conquest, such as the 1967 Six-Day War, King lent moral authority to a project that displaced Arab populations and imposed poverty on them, contradicting his own calls for economic justice and harmony among all people. And finally, even his famous "I Have a Dream" speech itself was written and edited by others. Clarence B. Jones and Jewish Zionist Stanley Levinson worked together to draft and revise the iconic speech that Martin Luther King is most known for, proving that aside from funding, Jewish influence was at the heart of Martin Luther King's entire movement and message. Despite only having a 25% approval rating among Americans at the time of his death, the weight and power of Zionist money and influence prevailed over populism, and the legacy of Martin Luther King is overwhelmingly positive in the US and abroad. Though we have reason to be critical and skeptical, Martin Luther King wasn't all bad. He was the voice for many disenfranchised people and pushed for his community to work hard and have dignity. During the making of this video, I was very surprised at times to see how much I agreed with his economic policy, pushing for everyone that needed work to have job opportunities and a living wage, even suggesting an economic Bill of Rights, something that applies more than ever, with countless Americans being underemployed and even those that have jobs finding it difficult to live off of their income. Though I don't necessarily agree with his solution to the problem, he certainly diagnosed it very well. The problem is that we all too often have socialism for the rich and rugged free enterprise capitalism for the poor. This is something I almost said verbatim on the last podcast I was on.
Victor, I feel like you're about to educate us.
Yeah, go.
I want to hear it.
Well, you know, my position on it is that we were a capitalist country for a very long time. But right now what we have is more a blend of capitalism and socialism. We have capitalism for the poor, socialism for the rich. If a big bank is insolvent, they get bailed out by who? By me and you, the American public. They privatize all the gains, but they socialize all the losses.
That.
Right? And
Wow.
And that is a problem.
Damn, that's a good way to think about it.
That is a good way to think about it, and I think you hit it on the head right there.
Again, he leaned too socialist for my liking, but I wanted to give credit where it was due. He was an intelligent and influential man, and it is very disappointing to see just how corrupt and compromised he was. If you like this video and want to support the channel so more can be made, the most direct way to do that is through YouTube itself. Liking a video signals to YouTube's system that the content is worth showing to more people. Each individual like has an effect on how widely the video is distributed by the algorithm. The more likes a video has, the more it gets recommended, which directly increases its reach. Commenting also helps with visibility. A comment counts as an interaction, and YouTube gives preference to content that has active discussions. Comments are also permanent in the sense that they stay attached to the video, so they create a visible layer of engagement that may encourage other viewers to leave their own comment, which then compounds the effect. Subscribing, and especially clicking the notification bell, ensures you always get notified when something is posted. Thank you for watching.